I think we all know what is 9/11, right? At least you should when some Arab guys decide to hijack some planes and hit them on the Twin Towers. But what I want to talk about is conspiracy theories about 11/9, so put on your seatbelts and let's get started. In April 27 of 2001 in Johnny Bravo series, what is basically a cartoon series, an episode aired that contained this frame, which is Johnny Bravo debating with a guy. And in the background there's a tower burning with "coming soon." This appears almost 5 months before 9/11. Just a coincidence? There's no way to know. Second prediction was made by The Simpsons in May 1997. In an episode this appear, Bart is holding a magazine, which appears 9, and the Twin Towers nearby form 9/11. Simpson predict a lot of things, so that one is just one more. Third prediction is this book called "This is How Latin America Suffers." And the book cover is literally the Twin Towers burning and people jumping of the building. This book was made 26 years before. In March 2001, the X-Files creators came up with this television show called The Lone Gunmen, and in the first episode this happened. Literally an airplane going against the Twin Towers. Is it really just a coincidence? Yes, absolutely. Someone created a game called Trade Center Defender, which is a game when you defend the Twin Tower from a terrorist attack. In early 2001, this was literally like 8 or 9 months before 9/11, and he makes a game of 9/11. Who made this game? Probably Osama Bin Laden. In September of 2001, a rap group called The Coup was set to release their album titled Party Music. And so this was the album cover. Literally the Twin Towers at exploding. They obviously canceled the album. This one is made by the anti-LGBT guy, aka Jackie Chan. It was a movie called Nosebleed, was scheduled for release in 2001, but was delayed, only released in 2008. Why? Because the storyline featured an attack on the World Trade Center. The original script included this excerpt. It represents capitalism. It represents freedom. It represents everything America is about. And to bring those two buildings down would bring America to its knees. Yes, Jackie Chan predicted 9/11. Beavis and Butthead is a cartoon, and they appear in the Vice magazine in 1994 when they both are dressed as Al-Qaeda members and flying planes around the towers. They are a comedy cartoon series that was only a joke, but they predicted anyway. In the early 80s, was published a card game called Illuminati, and it have this cards. One predicted 9/11, and the other predicted the Pentagon attack, if you don't know. In the same day of 9/11, the Al-Qaeda launch a terrorist attack in other parts of America, including the Pentagon. Literally a card game called Illuminati predicted the 9/11 and the Pentagon attack 21 years before. In 1979, 6 years after the Twin Towers be built, an airline make this image. I don't know the context, like why a airline would do it, but they do it. And finally the last, in Terminator 2, launched in 1991, 10 years before 9/11. In this movie this image appears. Again, I don't know the context, but there is caution. 9/11. I really want to know the context of this one, why they would public this. Okay, the predictions ends now. Now I'm going to show the second conspiracy theory. No planes theory. This theory is diverse, because some people think it was planted bombs inside the towers. Some believe the planes were holograms, and that they were actually missiles. One who believes in this theory is David Shaler, a former British MI5 officer. He say, the only explanation is that they were missiles surrounded by holograms made to look like planes. Watch footage frame by frame, and you will see a cigar-shaped missile hitting the World Trade Center. There are some videos to prove this, but they are all in low resolution and are dubious. But well, in 2001 the hologram technology was so bad, and the CGI too, is almost impossible to make so realistic holograms of planes in 2001, but who knows? So you should know what is a black box, right? Basically, it's an indestructible box which is inside every plane, and records audio, in case something happens to the plane. Coincidentally, the indestructible box did not survive in the two planes, but a passport of one of the hijackers survived. And to feed more this theory, the BBC published the names and identities of what they believed to be some of the hijackers. Some of the people named were later discovered to be alive. The BBC explained that the initial confusion may have arisen because the names they reported back in 2001 were common Arabic and Islamic names. Bush is the 45th American president, and in 2001 he was the president. During 2001 he received several warnings from the CIA saying that Al-Qaeda is preparing something, but he always ignored, and during the 9/11 he was in a school, when he is informed about 9/11, and that's his reaction. He simply stay calm, maintaining 100% of your posture. And why would he just ignore the attack? The theorists say because he wanted a reason to attack Iraq and obtain oil. Obviously he denied it, but supposedly, he left almost 3,000 people die just for oil. But despite these allegations, the Bush administration specifically rejected proposals to immediately attack Iraq in response to 9/11. And acknowledged that there was no evidence of Iraq involvement in the attacks. Bush invaded Iraq 2 years later. Some months before the attack, the contract of the World Trade Center was privatized and sold to this man, Larry Silverstein. He took out an insurance plan covering terrorism, and after the attack, he sued the insurance company, saying that, "I should earn double of the money, because the two attacks by separate planes against two separate buildings constitute two occurrences within the meaning of the policies." He earned $4.5 billion. I couldn't find out exactly what he did with the money, but apparently he tried to rebuild the buildings. Mossad is basically the Israel CIA. This theory basically says that Mossad made 9/11. Some theorists of this believe that Jewish employees were warned by Israel intelligence to miss work on September 11th, resulting in no Jewish deaths at the World Trade Center. Why would Mossad made 9/11? Well, Tom Burnett published a book saying, the Mossad wanted to provoke a war between the United States and the Muslim countries of the Middle East, to benefit Israel and weaken its enemies. And the Mossad wanted to create a climate of fear and paranoia in the United States to increase support for Israel and its security policy. He also used Bin Laden tapes as a proof, which is basically some interviews when supposedly Bin Laden says, "The US government has consistently blamed me for being behind every occasion its enemies attack it. I would like to assure the world that I did not plan the recent attacks, which seems to have been planned by people for personal reasons." But this theory is obviously false. It's created by a bunch of anti-Semitic persons. First of all, there's no evidence that Mossad warned Jewish employers to miss work on September 11th. At least 270 Jews died on 9/11. The estimated number is 270 to 400. They said at least 4,000 Jews skip work that day. But this is again false. In fact, what happened was that the Jerusalem Post, a newspaper, said the foreign ministry in Jerusalem has so far received the names of 4,000 Israelis believed to have been in the areas of the World Trade Center and the Pentagon at the time of the attacks. About the Bin Laden tapes, it is very doubtful to find any concrete proof that these tapes are actually from Bin Laden. The Shia stated that the tape was probably from Osama Bin Laden, but people from the Muslim world doubted the authenticity of the tape. December 20th, 2001, the German TV channel Das Erste broadcast an analysis of the White House's translation of the videotape. On the Monitor program, found the White House translation to be inaccurate and manipulative, stating, "At the most important places where it is held to prove the guilt of Bin Laden, it is not identical with the Arabic." Professor Gernot Rotter, professor of Islamic and Arabic Studies at the Asia-Africa Institute at the University of Hamburg, said, "The American translators who listened to the tapes and transcribed them apparently wrote a lot of things in that they wanted to hear, but that cannot be heard on the tape no matter how many times you listen to it." Some members of Scholars for 9/11 Truth believe that the man in this videotape is not Osama bin Laden at all, citing differences in weight and facial features, along with his wearing of a gold ring, which is forbidden by Muslim law. So there's no proof Mossad made 9/11.